If you're like most of us, there are dead spaces in your house where Wi-Fi network disappears. Yeah. Ryan Eldridge is back, co-founder of Nerds on Call. You're okay with that, right?
Yes.
Well, you must be. You named it. He's here to share some tips on how to improve the range of wireless. So is it all about where you put the router?
Kind of. Well, most of us, we open up the box, we set it all up, and we do a couple of little configuration settings, and then we forget about our router forever. Well, the thing is about a router is it's just like any other piece of technology equipment. There's updates to it constantly, to the software that runs it. So the first thing you want to do is check your router settings.
Okay.
Log into it. Make sure that if you're running a combination network like an 802.11n and an 802.11g, turn off the G, because G is an older standard. It's not really necessary anymore, and it'll slow down your router. Most people don't have older G equipment anymore. Most people just have N equipment.
So what if you buy a new router? Well,
if you buy a new router, then what you want to look for is a dual band router. That's the best, because most routers run on what's called a 2.4 gigahertz band. It's a very crowded band. There's all kinds of stuff. Baby monitors, cordless phones, Bluetooth, all runs on 802.11g or that 2.4 gigahertz. So look for one that's got a 5 gigahertz network. That is going to be a much better network to jump onto, and it's not as crowded.
Should you just change out your router every couple of 3 years or whatever? I mean, is that for all of us who can't drop the N, go in and reprogram? I'm trying to think of people like me who need people like you to tell us what to do.
Routers are generally kind of cheap equipment. They run really hot. They get a lot of electricity through them, and then we never mess with them again once we set them up. How much is cheap? Well, under $100.
All right.
I would recommend certainly running, getting a new router probably every 3 or 4 years, turning it off every now and then, letting it cool down. Some other cool upgrades you can do is most people, when they have their router, when they set it up, they put it in like wherever their cable box is or wherever their phone is. What you want to do is move your router to a central location in the house, not in a cabinet or anything like that. It's best if it's unobstructed, so that way you can really let that signal go around. It's only about 100 feet or so. And another thing you can do is when you get into the router settings is lock down the encryption. A lot of people, we live in close proximity to our neighbors, and what we don't realize is that people can jump on our network, start downloading stuff, and all of a sudden our network starts slowing down the more people that get on it. So if you put an encryption on there, or at least a passcode on there, that'll kick a lot of those neighbors off, or we call them freeloaders.
We have kind of a corner part of our house where all the computer stuff is. That's where the router is. But that is by no means a central location.
No. Certainly, if you want to move it, you want to move it probably to right around where the TV is usually, over behind the TV is a good spot, or somewhere where you're going to get signal to all access of the house. But let's say you don't want to move. You want to leave everything in the office and you don't want to move it all. There's 2 ways you can upgrade that signal. One is you can get a high gain antenna and put it on your router. Most of the routers have a little antenna on them that you can unscrew. And you can get a high gain antenna. It's a much bigger antenna, and that'll give you a lot more signal.
How much?
Usually under $50 to get a high range antenna. You can get them on Amazon.com. Or you can get something cool like this. This is called a range extender. This is by Netgear. Again, this will run you around $50. These are great because you put them in your bedroom and it'll boost the signal from the other part of the house.
No kidding. I wonder what that thing was.
So you can go out to your pool and have access to it, or if you're going across the street or you want to share internet access to somewhere else that's not getting access, this is the best thing to do.
Well, that's all good if you want to be found. What if I don't want to be found a lot of time, so I may not do the upgrade stuff. Okay, talk about the app of the week.
So this is called Push Bullet. Now, if you've got a Mac, you're kind of used to this now, where you can get your phone texts on your computer and respond to them. But it's in a Windows world, or where we're a mixed bag, where we've got an iPhone and a Windows machine, we don't have access to that same technology. Well, with Push Bullet, what you do is you install it on your computer, your tablet, and your smartphone. And anytime you get a text, you can reply to it on your computer or your tablet, or you can push things to your tablet or your phone, like videos, photos, things like that. And man, having a big size keyboard to respond to a text, this feels much more comfortable than that little dinky one sometimes.
I would say you're right. Ryan, always good to have you here. We do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Nerds on Call. And like I said, they don't mind the name.